Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In. On my Crackhead update, I was driving from the Walmart neighborhood market on Central Expressway, and it was a guy running down the expressway with no shirt on, and it was cold out there. Man, his eyes was big as hell. I don't know what he was on or what he was running to or running from, but that's an easy way to make the police hit you up. They don't know what the hell you're doing. That's my Crackhead update. Y'all know what it is. Get your shanks out and let's ride. Yeah, during the course of making this video, no one was hurt. Y'all follow me over on Patreon. The link will be in the description. I have a story about a guy talking too much in prison. Since this is an ongoing investigation, I'm not going to state what prison that I was at during this incident or the guy's name, because it's ongoing investigation. And I don't want to get this guy indicted or screwed up just for me to get some likes and subs on a YouTube video. Well, anyway, had this guy from Dallas. He was new on the cell block. He had a 5-year sentence. And most of the time when people fresh in prison, guys who've been incarcerated for a minute, they'll ask him a question about the outside. Do he know certain people in the hood? Different things that have changed since they've been locked up. And some guys will give you the 411 on how your hometown is. But some guys love to try to show you they are tough and they were gangsters on the outside. A lot of guys are like that. Some of them, they don't think they got anything to hide, so they'll discuss their whole criminal history. You ain't even got to ask them. They trying to show you that they're a gangster. Well, anyway, this guy was standing around in the day room talking to several got people from Dallas, Texas, and he was telling them about he had this young chick that he had working on the streets. She was strung out on crack, and she had got him locked up for family violence. Called the cops on him and got him arrested. And he had made bond, and he had got out and killed her and buried her. They didn't know where she was at. By her being a street chick, no one gonna miss her, because they be all over the place. She not gonna be missed. And he was just standing there talking, and an old school guy who sometime I play chess with, he's from Dallas, and he was just standing listening at the conversation. And when he called the young lady's name, that was his daughter. And I'm standing around, most of the time younger guys, I don't never get in their conversation. I might listen at them talk. I never ask them anything. I seen a look come on his face. It's not fitting in with the conversation. But he didn't say anything. He held his peace. Later, they opened the cell doors. That is called in and out in a Texas prison. So I went up to my cell to change shoes to get ready to go to work. And had a cool chick working the floor, and she didn't sweat the cells. So she was going to leave all the cell doors open until they called chow. That way she ain't got to come back and close the doors. That'll give guys time in the cell that will sleep to get up and take care of their hygiene and be ready for chow. So anyway, he came up and knocked on my door. That's protocol. You knock before you stick your head around and look up in a guy's cell. You knock. And he said, hey, man, I need to holler at you. So me and him played chess, and I said, hey, come on in, man. So he came on in and copped a squat. And he was telling me, he said, say, man, that girl he was talking about, he killed, man, that was my daughter, man. He said, that's my daughter. And he had a photo album with him. He showed it to me. He said, man, this is my daughter right here, man. He said, man, I feel sorry. I was been incarcerated on and off all my adult life. I didn't never have a chance to actually raise her. I didn't contribute nothing to her life. So she turned out for the worst. She turned out for the streets. And someone turned out on crack. He said, man, I got to make amends for my daughter. Now, this guy, he only had a 10-year sentence himself for a non-violent case. Now, I don't want to talk a guy who got a 10-year sentence. Even if he got to do the whole 10, it's still better than risk receiving 50 or 99 or a life sentence for killing another inmate. I want you to know all the consequences you're facing. And I'm going to tell you about what ADSEG is like. About how long you're going to spend in ADSEG. I want you to go into the situation with your eyes wide open. Later on down the line, I don't want you to say, man, if I was listening to that old guy, I wouldn't even be in here. So I'm not going to encourage it. Now, if that's what he want to do, I can understand it. That was his daughter. He said, man, I don't want to get no life sentence. Say, but this fool got to go, man. He said he killed my daughter just for nothing, man. And he went in graphic detail on how he brutalized her. He didn't say where he buried her, but he gave a general idea on the location in Dallas where she buried. He said, man, he was telling guys, man, they ain't gonna never find her ass, man. She shouldn't have called the cops on me. So I told him, I said, man, it's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And it's possible you could get away with it. It requires planning. Now, I've said in previous videos that I worked in a warden's office they call Wildcat. His name is James B. Anderson. And I learned a lot of things from him. A lot of things I learned that short stint I worked in that office. Because back in the day, they killed a whole lot of inmates. And not one correctional officer was ever investigated for all these murders. A lot of guys lost their life. And they were slick. They had it planned all the way to the max. They didn't leave no loose ends. So if it was an investigation, it's going to come out to the conclusion of the version that the prison administration gives. Prove otherwise. They're going to have actual proof. This is how this occurred. And the guy lost his life. Now I would listen to that Wildcat talk. He wasn't ashamed. He'll be talking to me. But like, I never initiated a conversation with this man. The man been working for the prison system longer than I've been living, so I'm not going to try to tell him anything. I will learn from him. And he always had a thing about, you want to get away with something, you never let the guard see it. Don't let a guard see it. But back in the day, they didn't have that many guards no way, so that was the easy thing to do. You had to worry about the inmate guards. So I told this guy, I said, hey, it's a way you can get away with it. You have them so confused, they really won't know what to do. Even if they present your case to a grand jury, all the evidence will be in your favor. Because this is a maximum security prison where violence occurs all the time. There's nothing new here. It happens all the time. It's an everyday occurrence. I say you can get away with it, but you got to plan it. And when those investigators talk to you, you got to have your conversation. You got to have your story airtight. They're going to ask you different versions, never changing. You got to stick with your story because a dead man cannot talk. And he was bent on taking this guy out. He said, man, that's the only way that I can allow my daughter to rest in peace. He said, because I was not a good father. He said, I've been locked up so much in and out of her life. I ain't never contributed nothing to her life. He said, now it's time for me to make amends. So I told him, I said, okay, this is a new guy. He still got the streets in him. He want to do all the fly stuff. I told him, I said, I got some Everclear. See, a lot of guys thought I made homemade wine, which we call chalk. I didn't make this shit. I just had Everclear. I put a little Everclear in a gallon jug with some orange juice or some orange drink out of the dining room and mix it up, and it's potent as hell. I used to hear guys say, man, old school got some bad liquor. Man, that was straight Everclear. I had this, well, anyway, I had Everclear. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm going to give you the wine. Because he didn't get money from home. I said, I'm going to give you the wine. You get in a conversation with this guy because you are from Dallas. And they played a homeboy thing real tough. Because they was non-gang members, so they just kick it with Dallas. And anyway, I said, you give him the wine. Get him to come to your cell. Come in your cell. Lock the door. Get a couple blunts. Let him start getting high. I told him, I said, instead of you smoking a blunt, you put tobacco in yours. Let him smoke the weed. You don't smoke it. Let him smoke it. And I told him, I said, I'm going to make a potent batch of this chalk. It ain't going to take one cup. He going to start feeling the second cup. He almost going to be drunk because his system is clean from laying up in Dallas County Jail. He ain't had no liquor. I say, then you got to have 2 shanks. One will be his, one will be yours. I say, when that fool get good and drunk, make sure there's no officer inside of this pod. Then you do the fool on it. Do the fool on it. Your defense is going to be, you in your assigned cell. This guy came in your cell because you and him had some words earlier in the trial, and he wanted to fight you, and he had a shank. You wrestled with him, got the shank from him, and killed him with his own knife. Now, I told him, I said, first I had told him to have 2 shanks. I was going to say, well, it was a fight. I said, no, that ain't going to work. Because when the gang intelligence and the OIG, those Attorney General police officers, they are assigned at all maximum security prisons in Texas. So if you catch a case from the outside, these people are going to read you your rights. They're assigned to all the maximum security prisons. And I say, no, just have 1 knife. You can easily put his fingerprints on it later. If it's 2 knives, they're going to say you planned it. That's when they intentionally and knowingly one of the fundamental elements of murder under the statute in Texas, section 1902, is you intentionally knowingly kill someone. You don't need that. If you can keep it in the manslaughter range, you stand a chance. And I used to have an old case law, I can't remember the citation, where a guy got in a fight in the day room. He was attacked by 3 inmates. He didn't have a knife, but some kind of way he got the knife from one of those guys, and he killed one of them. They sentenced him to life for that crime. The Court of Criminal Appeals came back and said this inmate had every right to defend himself. The only thing worked in his favor, it was correctional officers looking at the whole incident. They see he didn't have a weapon. They said he ain't got to stand there and let another inmate kill him worrying about getting a murder case. And I remembered that case law. I tried to lace him up the best I can. I told him it's a hit and go situation. Mainly, they're going to go off of the statement you give, and they're going to look at the physical evidence. What's going to hurt this guy, he's in an unassigned area. He's not supposed to be in another inmate cell. He's not assigned to that cell. And he pulled this off on a Sunday doing football. Everybody came back from chow. Just so happened, I took off from work just to watch the game. I could have watched it at work in the warden's office on his TV, but I went to the cell block because I had a lot of bets. So I just wanted to sit and mingle in with the fellas. And I wanted to see how this incident was going to go. And I told him, I said, man, I'm not going to get involved in it. You got to do this on your own. And they came back from chow. I already was sitting in the day room. I'm looking. He had started buttering the guy up, making friends with him and talking to him. And I see the guy go upstairs. They live on the second floor. I lived on the first floor. And I see him go up, standing in front of the cell. The female guard, she opened the cell doors. They both go in. She come by and close all the cell doors and leave off the pod and go over to the other pod and let those guys in their cell. So after she cleared, and once she do all that, she's going to go back up front. They love to sit at that desk, sit around and talk and gossip. They do not want to be down on them cell blocks because it's hot. Inmates going to be masturbating on them. Female guards do not want to hang around unless they in the game, so-called in the game. Other than that, they do what they got to do and burn off. And we all sitting there watching the game, people making bets. And this cell block here was fairly quiet. You know, during a football game, it's going to get rowdy. Guys pulling for their money, pulling for the team they like. Now, all of a sudden, we heard somebody screaming. I'm talking about screaming for dear life. So I sit there just as cool and calm. Some tell me, hey, I got a cell phone on me, I got cash money, and I got cigarettes and a lighter. So my strategy is, by the job I had, I can leave off the cell block anytime I want to. So I went up there and hit the button real fast and told the lady I got to go to work. Because I know the routine. They're going to come in there and make everybody line up in the day room, possible script search everybody. That's what's going to happen. And I don't want to get caught with this contraband. So when he was screaming, somebody help me, homeboy was up there wearing his ass out. And finally he came to the cell door. I'm standing out in the deep space. He comes to the cell door talking to the guys. Tell somebody in the day room, hey, go hit the button and tell that lady to get the sergeant down here. This fool came in my cell with a knife, and I took it from him, and I stabbed him with his own knife. When the sergeant was coming in, I was leaving out. And I went to work real fast, wait till all the fireworks settled. After supper, I seen no guys come to chow, so I said, well, at least they not on lockdown, because if you the same race, majority of the time they not going to lock the prison down. They only going to lock it down if it involves gang activity or it's interracial. Then they'll place you on lockdown. So from where I worked at one building, I could see him taking him to the infirmary. That's the first thing they do when you go in the lockup. Take you to the infirmary, take your blood pressure, your weight, your height, and they place you in lockup. And he was placed in pre-hearing detention. And he went to court. They recommended that he go to ADSEG, administrative segregation. They placed him in administrative segregation. They presented those charges to the grand jury. Grand jury returned a no bill. But he did all his time day for day, every bit of it. He did it back in lockup. and he was released. Now he here in Dallas. I just saw him yesterday. He said so far they ain't never said nothing else to him. But I can't call his name because I don't want to get this investigation opened back up. But anyway, it's ways to do things. So you got to watch who you're talking to and what you're talking about. The content of your conversation can cause you serious consequences. You got to watch that in life. That's why I got a policy. I never initiate a conversation with no one. Like where I live at. To me, these people are nosy. Maybe that's how they do things on the outside. They'll walk up, start talking to you, and ask you where you work at, what you do for a living. I ain't never talked to no one here started the conversation. Any conversation I ever had, they initiated that conversation. I don't speak to these clowns. I let them speak to me. That's from all them years of being incarcerated. I had to stand by myself. So out here, I look at it the same way. The old rules still apply on the outside. So most people don't wish you well no way. They just being nosy. That's my story for today. I'm going to upload on Patreon also. Y'all like and smash that like button up. It ain't going to hurt you. Don't cost you nothing. Smash the like button up. And follow me over on Patreon. Like and subscribe. And I thank you for watching.